Hello everyone, we are going to be reading chapter 4 in Brian's Hunt today, so let's get into it. Chapter 4. A strange sound awakened him. He had been sleeping hard, dreaming of all the things, about Cay Gwaddoosh, the beauty marks, and at first his body did not want to come into consciousness. But so much of him was now tuned to reacting to odd things, a line that did not belong where it was, a sound that could not be there, an odd color or smell. He had almost gone crazy on his last visit back to civilization. Sirens and the stink of smoke and bangs and rattles and noise. It all had meshed together and desensitized him to the point where he'd heard nothing, but it was so overwhelming. Here, now every odd sound or color or line or smell meant something. He had watched wolves hunting once, and they would trot or walk along and stop every few feet and look and smell and listen. And they checked everything out. Everything. Any little rustle in the grass, any soft whisper of sound, every scent. And now, here he lay, awake, knowing only that a strange noise had cut him out of sleep, but not what sound or where it had come from, when he opened his mouth to clear his ears and held his breath and waited, listening. The night was perfectly still. The temperature had dropped so that he had, without awakening, pulled his unzipped bag over top of him to stay warm. And it was cool enough that even the odd mosquito had gone down, and it was so quiet he heard his heart beating in his ears. No other sound. The moon was half full and seemed close enough to touch, and made it so bright the lake around him could be easily seen. The canoe rode softly on the slick water, the little anchor still holding well, nothing wrong there. He sat up a bit, nothing on the shore that he could see. Of course it was far away enough, a good 100 yards, that even with the bright moon he might not see something small. But no, nothing. No sound, not even bugs, not even a loon. And yet he was awake. Why? He trusted his instincts implicitly here in the bush, and he knew there had to be something, some big or little thing. The dream was not enough to wake him. There had been some outside influence involved, but he could hear or see nothing. Wait, there. A sound. What was it? Very soft, so he could just barely hear it, and there again. Soft. Whimpering. A whine. A soft whimpering whine, the way a dog might sound if he was begging or injured. A dog? Now he sat and scoured the bank, but could see nothing. A coyote, perhaps? Brush wolf, as they called them up north, or maybe a timber wolf, two wolves, one begging from the other. He had a small binocular in his pack. Binoculars were too heavy, but there were times when he wanted to see things from a distance, without disturbing them. He was especially interested in the eagle nests on many of the lakes because he wanted to see the young, but didn't want to get too close to them. He took out the binocular and studied the lake shore. It was only 8 power, but it pulled in a lot of extra light from the moon, and he broke the shoreline down into sections and tried to see the wolf or coyote, or maybe it was a fox. But there couldn't be a dog out here, could there? He saw nothing on the first sweep. He looked at the moon and was thinking it was probably 2 or 3 in the morning, and perhaps he should just accept that it was a coyote or wolf, or maybe even a small bear, and get some more sleep when he heard it again. Not louder, but somehow more persistent, perhaps a little longer in duration. He started another sweep and was halfway through his swing, carefully studying the shoreline foot by foot, when he came to the area where he had made a fire and cooked the northern, and then he saw it. By the log where he had lain back after eating, there was a shape, not moving, just sitting or hulking, not a coyote, but certainly not as big as a wolf either. A dark shape that might be a small bear. There were many bears in the bush, blacks, some cinnamon-colored blacks, and worthy of much respect. He had a couple of run-ins, one with a bear that he had come close to shooting, another with a bear that had tried to move into his winter shelter and been driven off by a skunk. But this didn't quite look like a bear either. How it moved, stood slowly, and he saw that it had 4 legs, was slightly larger than a coyote, had a shiny patch on its shoulder, and unless he was completely insane, was almost assuredly a dog. Out here. And looking at Brian across the water, whining, whimpering. Well, he thought, just that. Well, I might as well go see what it wants. He sat up completely awake now, and fetched the anchor line from the boat rope, and pulled the little grapnel up and paddled toward shore. Close on he stopped, 40 feet from the bank, 60 from the dog, and studied it again. Rabies was a very real disease, and while it usually killed the infected animals before they could go far or do much damage, he didn't want to get torn up or killed if a dog was rabid. He used his monocular again, even this close, because it gathered so much light and scrutinized the animal. When he had paddled in, the dog had come closer to shore to meet him, but it moved poorly and seemed to favor its right side. Brian held the scope on it to see what was wrong. It was most certainly a dog. He could see it was a female, even in the dark, a nondescript kind of dark-haired Malamute cross with a Crees. Sometimes had in their camps and pull sleds in the winter or pack in the summer. They were not so much sled dogs as just camp dogs and companions that pulled sleds when necessary, and this one seemed friendly enough, wanting to greet him. The dog had that shiny place on her shoulder, but otherwise its coat was a dark brown. And then she turned, and Brian saw the shiny spot better, and realized that the dog had been wounded in some way, perhaps in a fight, and there was a slash that started just at the top of her right shoulder and went down the back at an angle almost to her rear end. It had bled all down her side, and much of the blood had clotted, but in the moonlight Brian could see the shine of fresh blood. "Oh, man," Brian said aloud, his voice almost startling him because he was so rarely spoken. "What's happened to you?" And the dog whimpered to him again in a sound that it seemed dogs reserved just for talking to humans. A soft asking sound, a soul sound, and Brian dug the paddle in and slipped up on shore to help. All right. That's the end of chapter 4. We will learn about what happens with Brian and the dog that he found next time. See you in the next video.